Okay. Can I start with the lecture? Fine. In the last lecture, we have discussed uh, market structures, and we also discussed some of the introductory parts regarding what is scarcity and production possibility frontier and things like that. Okay. So if possible, today also we'll solve some more problems in that context. But let us start with a new topic in your module. It is chapter number 3. Okay, chapter number 3. It deals mainly with both money and banking. Okay, so it's a very interesting topic and very simple. Money and banking. So let us begin with this very important topic. Okay, so briefly, you have heard about what are the functions of money? Yes, very good. So money is, and whenever I write capital M, it stands for money. Just remember this. Money is anything which is generally accepted in settlement of generally accepted in settlement of anything that is generally accepted in settlement of transactions in Hey, just 1 minute. I'll just give you 1 minute. File me lecture मध्ये. Yeah. So anything that is generally accepted in settlement of transactions, anything that is generally accepted in settlement of transactions is called money. Anything that is generally accepted in settlement of transactions is called money. Okay, and this gives and this role of money is based on what are called as the classical functions of money. Okay, functions of money. We can think of two functions. One is primary functions and secondary functions. Primary functions and secondary functions. So primary functions are, first, money acts as a medium of exchange. That is, all transactions are settled in terms of money. Okay, that is the meaning of money as a medium of exchange. Okay, and the second important function is that money acts as a measure of value. That is, all prices of all goods and services are expressed in money terms. That is called a measure of value, or it is also sometimes called standard. Okay, standard of value. Okay, These two are called a primary functions. Okay, medium of exchange and money's role as a measure of value. Okay, so if I were to create a short form for this, MOE and measure of value MOV. Okay. Okay. The third function, money, is called a store of value. Store of value. That is the ability of money to maintain value over a period of time. Ability to retain value over a period of time. Over a period of time. Okay. Store of value. Store of value is closely related with the idea of money being a perfectly liquid store of value. Okay, store of value. Okay, underline this word liquid. Okay, in commerce or economics, whenever we say something is liquid, it means ease with which an asset can be converted into money. Okay, so money being the most liquid store of value. Okay, so this particular function of money is very critical in a modern economy. Okay, so we have seen that the four functions of money: first is medium of exchange, second is measure of value, third is it is a store of value, and the fourth function of money is that it acts as a standard. For deferred payments. Okay, it acts as a standard for deferred payments. Okay, deferred payments are payments. Deferred payments are payments spread over a period of time. And money is, almost all these contracts are expressed in money terms, and this is the role of money as a standard for deferred payments. Okay, so I would very strongly request, I'll give you just a few minutes, maybe a minute or so, from memory, recall the functions of money. Okay, make a column: primary and secondary functions. Okay, those which derive from these primary functions. So quickly write down what are the, don't look anywhere, try to recall from memory and write these four important functions of money. When you have completed, just indicate so that I can move ahead. These are four functions which you should always be able to recall. Okay, online students, have you been able to complete? Let me know once you have completed. Okay, and try to recall all the short forms also. So what are the primary functions? Medium of exchange and a measure of value. Secondary function, it acts as a store of value and standard for deferred payments. Okay, one more question that you can get asked, for this money and its functions is, what is something before money gets introduced? What is the system of commerce before money is introduced? What is your answer? Very good. What is the answer to this? What is the commerce system before money is introduced? Do you all know the answer to this? Online students, I'm looking forward to you answering the question. What is the answer here? Hello, are you all able to hear me? Am I audible? Okay, great, fine. Yes, give me the answer also quickly. What is the system, or even indicate that you have got the answer? That is a kind of a commerce system before money is introduced. Okay, this kind of a trade was called barter. Okay, and barter is a system where goods exchange for goods. Goods exchange for goods. Okay, and we can just think of this as commodity to commodity exchange. Okay, this looks attractive, but in real world there are many problems with the barter, and that is why no economy uses barter. Everybody has moved into a monetary economy, and the reasons why barter is a problem is, one of the main problems in barter is that you have to have, it's a problem of double coincidence, of wants. Okay, that is, what is the double coincidence of wants? Suppose you think like a rice farmer, okay, who has rice, and let us say a wheat farmer. Okay, wheat farmer has wheat and rice farmer has rice. Okay, so if the rice farmer needs wheat, okay, and the wheat farmer wants rice, then there is double coincidence of wants, and we can see that there could be trade between rice farmer and wheat farmer. Okay, but this is a rare case. If it's suppose the rice farmer needs, let us say, fish, okay, and the wheat farmer wants rice. Now there is no way the rice farmer and wheat farmer can trade because of lack of double coincidence of wants. And this is typically the scenario where you find that there is a lack of double coincidence of wants. Okay, did you get this idea? What is the double coincidence of wants? So the main difficulty of doing barter is to find people with double coincidence of wants. Okay, that is one problem. Second problem with barter is that since prices are expressed in terms of other commodities, okay, there are too many prices. Okay, there are too many prices. That is the problem with barter system. Okay, so these are the two main problems of barter: double coincidence of wants, and there are too many barter prices for people to make calculation, and as a result of which barter gives rise to monetary economy. Okay, that is, we have money using economies. Okay, fine, can I proceed? Have you all got this? Okay, so like we are at page number 118 and 119 of your study material. So just look there, there is something called types of money. Okay, let's just quickly know what are the types of money. See, remember, historically when money came in, certain precious stones were acting, or metals were acting as money. Okay, commodity money. That means the intrinsic value of the coin or a metal determined its value. Such money is called commodity money. Okay, so commodity money was the intrinsic value determined exchange value. Okay, determine the exchange value. Simple and the most valuable commodity which money was, for example, gold coins. Okay, so the value of gold gave rise, whatever was the value of gold that was used in making the coins, that created the demand, created the value for money, which this type of money is called commodity money. Okay, and as against that, when countries started utilizing paper currency notes, okay, and there was no connection, okay, no connection between the intrinsic value and exchange value, no connection between intrinsic value and exchange value is called fiat money. Okay, so the link between commodity money and fiat money is that in fiat money there is no such thing as the intrinsic value of the commodity. For example, the rupee notes that we have today, which are in circulation, their exchange value is 100 rupees, but the paper that is used in making this currency notes is not that valuable. Okay, so this is an example of the current currency notes that we have is an example of. Okay, and similarly, the modern economy has evolved and we have commercial banks creating money. So that money created through the banking system is sometimes called as the commercial bank money. Okay, and we are going to very soon study how the credit creation by banks leads to creation of money supply. Okay, and another term which is used is fiduciary money. So remember, fiduciary means it is trust. So the value of money arising out of the trust. Okay. So value created due to the trust in that money is called, therefore money, all money for it to be accepted in circulation has to have, it is of the type of fiduciary money. Okay, fiduciary, just remember, is a trust. So we accept 100 rupee notes or 10 rupee notes because we know other people will also accept it. Okay, and that gives us what is called as fiduciary money. So our monetary system today is of all these types. We have fiat money, we have commercial bank money, and our money is also based on fiduciary. Okay, so what we don't have right now is what is called as commodity money. Okay, if you have grandparents, you may find that they have old coins. Some of these old coins were based on silver and gold, and then that time India's monetary standard used what are called as commodity money. Okay, so have you got this 4 types of money? Commodity money, then what is called as fiat money, fiduciary money, and commercial bank money. Okay, let us look at some of the other concepts relating to money. Okay. Yeah, online students have got this. Can I proceed? Okay. Let us look at what are called as the definitions of money. Okay, so now there is a lot of confusion about how the definition, how to define money. So in 1998, so we had something like this. We had the 3rd working group on money supply. 3rd working group on money supply, okay, which recommended and RBI accepted what are called as the new money measures. And in 70s, what we had were called as the old money measures. Okay, they were called the old money measures. Okay, these were based on 2nd working group. 2nd working group. Okay, now this, in the earlier measures, we had something called M1, M2, M3, and M4. Okay, and in the new dispensation, in the new money measures that the RBI has created, they have, just write N here, NM, there is a NM0, NM1, NM2 and NM3. Okay. Now remember, this M1 and NM1 are very similar. Okay, and M3 government wants it to be like NM3. Okay, so we'll see how the new definitions and the old definitions relate, since it's officially the definitions have been mentioned in your syllabus. We have no option but to learn them properly. Okay, so let us quickly write down what are the definitions of money. Okay, so are you all there with me till now? Is that fine? Okay, good. So let us look at old money measures and then we'll come to new money measures. Old money measures and then we'll come back to new money measures. Okay. First is M1. Okay, M1 is defined as currency with the public. Okay, currency with the public. Currency with the public. Plus demand deposits of the banking system. DD is called the demand deposit of the banking. Demand deposit liability of commercial banks. Okay. Currency demand deposits and other deposits. OD stands for other deposits with RBI. Okay. Now, other deposits are very small portion. They represent balances maintained by foreign governments, IMF and World Bank with RBI. Okay, so very small portion and it doesn't directly concern with us. So mainly M1 is currency plus demand deposit, but technically it is currency, demand deposits plus other deposits of RBI. Have you got M1? Okay. Now the second most important definition in the old money stock measures was this, Okay, let's proceed in the logical order. M1 then M2. Okay, M2 was defined as M1 plus post office saving deposits. Post office saving deposits. I don't know whether old definitions of money have been given in your textbook module, but I think you should remember them. Okay, because if you get a multiple choice question, there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, in exam you should be able to answer. Okay, so M2 is M1 plus post office saving deposits, and M3 is M1 plus time deposits of the commercial banks. Okay, TD is the time deposits of commercial bank. Time deposits of commercial banks. Okay, so what we have is currency, demand deposits, other deposits, which form M1. M2 is M1 plus post office saving deposits. M3 is M1 plus time deposits of the commercial banks. And let us write the last one, M4. M4 is M2 plus all postal deposits, except, okay, all postal deposits except national saving certificates outstanding. Okay, national saving certificates outstanding. So almost everything that a post office issues will be counted in M4 except for the national saving certificate schemes. Okay, so money outstanding in the, so here just remember one thing, M1 and M3. Okay, M3 is M1 plus time deposits of the commercial banks. Okay, this is currency plus demand deposit plus time deposits. Okay, so remember M1, M3. Then M2 is nothing but M1 plus post office saving deposits. Okay, post office saving deposits. And M4 is M3 plus all postal deposits, except the NSS, National Savings Scheme deposits. Okay, so that gives you a very simple way to remember M1, M2, then M1, M3, and from M3 what is M4. Okay, now this were the old money definitions. What happened is that in 1970s when these definitions were given, 73 I think, government believed that post offices will play a very major role in deposit mobilization. Okay, they do play an important role, but after 1970 and especially bank nationalization, the commercial banks expanded in the rural areas, and as a result of which our banking system improved relative to the post office. So in 1998, the third working group removed this postal deposits from the definition of money, and they created new measures of money which acknowledge the changing nature of the banking and financial markets. Okay, so we had new definitions, NM1. Okay, I'll tell you what was NM0 in some time. So the new money measure 1 is same as the old money measure, currency plus demand deposits plus other deposits with RBI. Currency plus demand deposits plus other deposits with RBI. Okay, this 1998 third working group, this is also called, remember, Y.V. Reddy recommendations. Y.V. Reddy committee recommendations. Okay, it's also called the Y.V. Reddy committee recommendations. Okay, so NM1. Okay, NM2. Okay, NM2 is NM1 plus plus time deposits, okay, time deposits, okay, especially with maturity less than equal to, okay, it's, yeah, time liability on saving deposits, time liability on saving deposits. Let me just erase this a minute. Okay. Time liability of saving deposits, time liability of saving deposits plus term deposits, term deposits with maturity less than a year, maturity of less than a year, issued to residents, issued to residents. So if something is issued to a non-resident, it is now not counted as part of money supply. Okay, so plus certificate of deposits, certificate of deposits. These are bulk deposits that commercial banks raise. Okay, CDs, certificates of deposits by commercial banks, by banks, okay, issued by the commercial banks. Okay, so remember there are four things. NM2 is new money measure 1 plus time liability of saving deposits plus term deposits with maturity of less than a year issued to a resident. Okay, means non-residents don't get counted here. And fourth one is certificate of deposits by banks. Okay, can I write NM3? So this is the last measure now we are going to do. NM3 is NM2 plus term deposits with maturity over a year, term deposits with maturity over an year, term deposits with maturity over an year. Okay, again, remember this is issued only to residents. Okay, non-residents are not counted. And call and term borrowing of banks. Call and term borrowings. Call and term borrowings of banks from financial institutions. Okay, so these definitions you definitely have to memorize. There's no other way out. You have to know what counts as money for our country. So currency, demand deposits, other deposits. NM2 is NM1 plus time liability of saving deposits, term deposits with maturity of less than a year issued to residents, and certificates of deposits issued by banks. NM3 is NM2 plus term deposits with maturity of over an year, call and term borrowing of banks from financial institutions. Okay, so this is how we get the old and the new money measures. Okay, so I'll give you a break, but just before that, let me just revise what I have done. We have seen four functions of money. Try to recall them. Four functions of money: limitations of barter, limitations of barter. Then we have seen RBI's money measures, RBI's money measures, okay, and your module gives only the new measures, but remember you need to know old measures and the new measures, okay. So we have done both. This is M1, M2, M3 and M4, and the new measures NM1, NM2, NM3. Okay, so this is what we have done till now. I will give you a 10-minute break, and after that we will discuss the money creation and some other concepts relating to money. Okay, so is that fine? Have you got it, online students? 10-minute break. Okay, so time is right now 4 p.m. in the computer watch here. So 4:10 we will start with the lecture. Okay, just thanks, take a break and we'll start. हे समजले तुला ओल्ड आणि न्यू मनी स्टॉक मेजर्स? तो आता एस वाय मध्ये काय एफ आय? हो, एस वाय च्या सिलेबस मध्ये अजून आमचं नाही आलेलं आमच्या कॉलेजमध्ये आले नाही मग तुमच्या एक्झाम कधी संपतात 10 एप्रिल ओके मग तू पुढच्या आठवड्यापासून नाही आहेस तिथे सोलापूरकर सर आहेत का रे मॅथ्सचे होते ते गणिताचे होते पण तिथे ना ते फार भारी मॅथमॅटिशियन होते राहुल सोलापूरकर त्यांचं जर का लेक्चर तुला मिळालं ना काहीतरी याच्यामध्ये काय रिअली फॅन्टॅस्टिक तुम्ही इथे जवळ आहे राहायला राहायला जवळ आहे आणि शाळा कुठे होती पिंपरीमध्ये चिंचवडमध्ये पण तू एस पीला कसं काय गेला मग ते असं आई बाबा पण एस पीचे आहेत हा आई एस पी एस पी असतं नेमाने चांगलंच
Hello. Yeah, hello. Should we start with the session? Okay, in the first half, we have studied what are the old and the new measures of money and what are its functions. Okay, now in this part of the lecture, I broadly want to discuss what is demand for money. Okay, demand for money, and second related idea that we have, which is called quantity theory of money. Quantity theory of money. Okay, now remember, demand for money is like, why do people hold money? And there are two theories of demand for money, and broadly we will discuss just both. So the earlier theory is based on what is called as a classical theory of money demand. Okay, it is called a classical theory of money demand, and the more modern method demand factors for the demand for money is also called the Keynesian demand for money. Okay, so briefly we want to study these two important ideas: what is the classical demand for money and what is the Keynesian demand for money. So according to classical economists, demand for money is basically demand for holding a certain amount of real demand. Okay, demand for money is demand for real balances. Okay, it is okay. So demand for real balances, and we have something like this: MD upon P. Classical economists said that a certain fraction is held in the form of a certain fraction of your real income is held in the form of real balances. Okay, so your Y is real income, and K is the fraction of income. K is a fraction of the income held as real balance. Okay, this theory was given by Marshall. Okay, it's also called Marshall's demand for money function. Okay, so remember, K is a fraction, so it is between 0 and 1. Okay, so that is how. Suppose you take, for example, a simple function of demand for money could be K is equal to half. Then we would have MD upon P. Our real cash balance would be Y upon 2. Only a fraction of the income, half of the income is held as money balance. Okay, so this was the classical theory, and later on Keynes disagreed with this. Okay, so we have a Keynesian demand for money. We have the Keynesian demand for money. Okay, this Keynesian demand for money, this theory is also called liquidity preference theory. It is also called the liquidity preference theory. Okay, it is called LPT. It is called liquidity preference theory. And Keynes said there are three motives for holding money. Three motives which create demand for money. First is transaction motive. Transaction motive, that is demand for money demand to finance day-to-day transactions. It is demand for money to finance the day-to-day transactions. Okay, this is called transactions motive. B is precautionary motive. Precautionary motive. Okay, by precautionary motive we mean a certain fraction money balances held to meet unforeseen expenses. Okay, money balances held to meet unforeseen expenses is called precautionary motive. Okay, so transactions motive, precautionary motive, and C is called speculative motive. Speculative motive. Okay, speculative motive is the money held as investment balances. Investment balance in government bonds. Okay, and Keynes said that the demand speculative demand for money is inversely related to the rate of interest. Is inversely related to the rate of interest. Okay, that means what Keynes basically said that interest rate R is the opportunity cost of holding money. Opportunity cost of holding money. Okay, so when interest rates increase, when interest rates increase, the speculative demand for money will decrease. Speculative demand will fall. Okay, and vice versa. So if interest rates decreased, okay, the speculative demand will increase. Okay, so let us just write this down in a more systematic way. So you think about money demand, M, okay, it's a demand for money. In the classical theory, it is a function of only the income, and the plus underlying it is that there is a direct relationship between income and demand for money. Okay, this function of money was adjusted by Keynes, and he created what is called as a liquidity preference theory, where he said there are two factors that determine demand for money. One is the income and other is the rate of interest. Okay, so demand for money is directly related to income, okay, but inversely related to the rate of interest. Okay, so just remember this broad distinction between classical. You can also remember this classical as Marshall's demand for money, and the Keynesian demand for money, and the Keynesian demand for money. So we have a classical demand for money, and we have Keynesian demand for money. Okay, have you got this? Is that fine? So just try to write down once, what are the three motives for holding money? Try to write down what are the three motives for holding money. What are the three motives? Yes. Perfect. That's absolutely right. Three motives for holding money are transactions motive, precautionary motive, and speculative motive. Okay. So I'm not going into the graph and all that, but remember there is a direct relation with income, dependent on income, and the relationship is direct. With speculative motive, it is interest rate, and it is inverse relationship. Okay, so that is the Keynesian theory of demand for money. Okay, let us write down another very important theory. Write down Fisher's quantity theory of money. Fisher's quantity theory of money. Okay, now write this QTM. QTM stands for quantity theory of money. Okay, QTM stands for quantity theory of money, and write this: quantity theory of money is a doctrine or ideology It's a doctrine, or sometimes also called as an ideology, that increase in money supply, increase in money supply causes an equal increase in prices of goods and services. Okay, increase in money supply causes an equal increase in prices of goods and services. Okay, so what this means is that something like this. What Fisher said is, if money supply goes up by say 20%, okay, money supply increases by 20%, then prices of goods and services will also increase by 20%. Okay, that is in a very simple way what this quantity theory of money is. Suppose if I were to tell, if that money supply doubles, okay, what will happen to price level? It will double, correct. Price level also doubles. So this is the proportional relation. Means ये 8% से बढ़ गया, price level will also increase by 1%. That is the, so to formulate this, okay, now right, Fisher provided a simple macroeconomic equation to explain the quantity theory of money. Okay, Fisher provided a simple macroeconomic equation to explain the quantity theory of money. Okay, this equation I'll just write is called MV is equal to PT. This equation of exchange is called MV is equal to PT. Okay, let's quickly write down what this symbol stands for. M stands for money supply. Okay, V stands for transactions velocity of money. Okay, now remember, this is a measure of how fast money circulates to finance transactions. Okay, just imagine, like, suppose you have a 100 rupee note and you use that 100 rupee note to travel by taxi. You take a Uber, auto, or a taxi, and you go from one place to another. Say you give that 100 rupee note to the taxi person. That person, taxi driver, then may use that 100 rupees to buy some vegetables. So the money has moved from, that 100 rupee note has moved from the driver to the vegetable vendor. Vegetable vendor pays that 100 rupees to the transport company. So like that, that same 100 rupee keeps moving from one person to the other, and it is financing transactions. The speed at which money moves or circulates to finance transaction is called velocity of circulation. And on the right hand side, so total money finance that is available in the economy is M times V. And how money gets used in the economy, P stands for the price level. P stands for the price level, and T stands for the total transactions in the economy. Total transactions in the economy. Okay. P is the price level, T is the total transactions in the economy. So this is how much money is demanded for financing transactions. Okay. So what is Fisher's theory is that he said, if you look at any economy, okay, this is financing available and finance required. Okay, and there is a strong relationship here. Fisher said that Fisher's assumptions were velocity is constant in the short run. Constant in the short run. Okay, there is the short run factors which determine the velocity, and this velocity, at least in the short run, remains constant. Okay. T stands for the level of transactions that take place in the economy during a period. T is the level of transactions taking place. This in short run is fixed by full employment level of output. Full employment level of output. Okay, so let's rewrite this equation. MV is equal to PT. In that, Fisher said V is fixed by institutional factors and T is fixed at a full employment level. Okay, so in the LHS, velocity is fixed. In the RHS, level of transactions remain fixed. Now, if money supply increases, then system will balance only when prices have increased. Only when the prices have increased in same proportion. Okay, and according to Fisher and the classical economists, increase in money supply fuels. So this is the classical theory. of Fisher and other economists also, increase in money supply causes equal percentage increase in price level, because V is remaining constant and here T is remaining constant. So the system balances. Whenever there is an increase in money supply, there is a equal proportionate increase in price level of goods and services, and that is the quantity theory of money given by Fisher. Okay, so we have completed this, maybe, and therefore the main cause of inflation in the classical analysis is, the main cause for inflation in the classical is system is increase in money supply is the main